Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla, homeschool mom of 5, doula, and today I just wanted to share the birth story of my 5th child. Her birth was I think it might be my favorite just because of how smooth and fast and it went and how confident I was during her birth and just during labor. And so I just wanted to share it. So for starters, I was a week late, you know, they estimate your due date. It is just an estimation. 4 out of 5 of my kids have been late. I keep wanting to do the quotations. And actually my 5th, she was my latest, past my due date. So it is definitely a myth that the more kids you have, like, the faster they're going to be. Like, I've heard people say if they had their first at 39 weeks, then their second might be at like 37 or 38 weeks. And it's not like your body's like we're ejecting a baby like faster every time. I mean, maybe that's true for some people, but for me, it was absolutely not true. My 3rd born, he was born on his due date, but the first 2 and the last 2 have been close to a week or a week late. She was a week and a day late. So anyways, a week past my due date, I lost my mucus plug, and I knew things were like gonna pick up soon. I mean, obviously I was like ready to have a baby. And so I went for a walk that day. I remember I walked probably like 2 miles that day, and I just like hung out outside a lot. My husband was working outside. I met my sister for dinner, had a side salad and a sweet potato. I was addicted to sweet potatoes when I was pregnant with her. And so I just nourished myself. I just did things that were like positive and good that day. I just hung out outside and ate good food, and I think me and my husband watched a movie that night and just laughed, and I just knew, and I spent time with my kids, and I just knew that like our lives are about to change. I'm about to have this baby. I just knew. Not only had I lost my mucus plug, your mucus plug you can lose it and then still not go into labor for a few days or even a week. Like, it can grow back, but I knew that things were gonna happen. So in the middle of the night, I slept good, but then around 8 a.m. I woke up and I was having some contractions. Like, not contractions, it's hard to explain the feeling that you're having in early labor. It is like contractions, but they're not intense. You're just kind of like, I think I'm in early labor. And so I had a chiropractor appointment scheduled that day. So I was like, definitely going to go to that, because just highly recommend going to the chiropractor if you are pregnant. And at the end of my pregnancies, I start going like every week or at least every other week. And yeah, so she adjusts my pelvic bone, and it's just so helpful. I got adjusted during labor with my 4th and my 5th, and I swear that just helped them come out so easily. So I didn't want to cancel that. So I asked my husband, I was like, hey, do you want to get the kids and like drive me to my chiropractor appointment? And he was like, yeah, I can. So, but then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, do I really? My chiropractor is like 45 minutes from my house. And so I was like, do I really want him to have to like get the kids out? Because if I end up going into labor today, I mean, when you have other kids, you have to think through all of everybody's stuff. So I was thinking, do I really want them to be in the car all day during this? And then what if things pick up? I don't know. So my solution was like, no, I'll drive myself. And he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm in early labor. It might be a good distraction for me to drive to the chiropractor. And yeah, it'll be fine. So, because in my head, I'm like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, I kind of wanted to ignore that I was in labor as long as possible, because I just think that that's smart. You never know how long labor is going to take. I don't have super quick labors, and so I was like, you know, I might be in labor all day, so it'll be a good distraction. So I'm driving. I stop at Starbucks. I got a iced matcha and a turkey bacon sandwich. I promise you, you will remember every detail of each of your labors. It just is a fact. So I got the iced matcha and the turkey bacon sandwich, and I was sipping it and, you know, eating it. Well, I had texted my sister that morning. I knew she was going to be at the birth, and was like, hey, I think I'm in early labor. Like, you don't have to come over or anything, but just kind of wanted to update you. So she called me, and she was like, where are you? And I was like, I'm on the way to the chiropractor. And I just stopped at Starbucks. And she was like, is Noah driving you to the chiropractor, or are you by yourself? And I'm like, no, I'm driving by myself. It's going to be fine. But even when I was on the phone with her, I'm having to like kind of stop and breathe through a couple of contractions. And it was funny because even in the drive-through of Starbucks, I was like, just, you know, just breathing and just focusing on like, you know, what I was feeling. But anyway, so she was like, I'm meeting you and I'm driving you the rest of the way to the chiropractor. I was like, okay, I mean, you don't have to, but okay. So she lives like on the way to the chiropractor. So she met me and we drove like the 15 minutes that was left of the drive to the chiropractor. And, you know, the contractions started to kind of pick up. And once I got to the chiropractor, I'm breathing through them. And she was like, the chiropractor was like, just tell me when you're having one and I'll pause. She's really natural minded. I love her so much. That's why I drive so far. And she remembers like adjusting me during my labor with my fourth. And she's just so supportive or whatever. So I would tell her when I was having one and I'd be breathing and she'd pause. Well, during that adjustment, and my adjustments take maybe 10 minutes, I had to stop multiple times. And she looked at my sister and was like, these contractions are coming 2 to 3 minutes apart. So I know how far away she lives. Y'all should probably get to wherever she's having this baby. Y'all need to probably get there. And my sister's like, yeah, probably. And I'm just like ignoring them and just doing my thing, breathing, you know, just whatever. So we get in the car, and at this point my sister's not dropping me back off at my car. Obviously she's like taking me home. So I'm just riding and just breathing, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm about to throw up. So I grab a cup and I just throw up. And my sister at that point, she didn't freak out, but she started to like, are you like, is everything like, do we need to go to the closest hospital? Like because, you know, throwing up can be a sign that you're definitely in active labor, or maybe even close to like delivering. People get nauseous at different points in labor, but I've never thrown up in labor. And so I think she was just kind of like, Kayla, are you good? Are you about to have this baby in this car? I'm like, no, I'm good. Let's just get home. So at this point, they're coming pretty close together, but she called my husband. She called her husband because he was coming to watch our kids, and then called my husband and was like, hey, you probably should be ready. We might need to like head to the hospital as soon as we get to y'all's house. And so we get home and Noah comes out to the car and he's like, babe, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I just want to go inside for a little while. So I slowly make my way inside. And then when I get inside, all I wanted to do was crawl around on my hands and knees, which is very normal and natural, because if you're experiencing any kind of back pain or anything, it just like relieves the pressure. Plus it helps work the baby down. Your pelvic is more open in that position. So it's like my body knew what it wanted and what was going to help the baby come down. So I just listened to my body. So I'm just crawling around my house on my hands and knees. I'm going to the bathroom probably every 10 minutes just to pee. It's like I kept feeling like I needed to pee, which is, you know, definitely something that happens during labor. And so I would like be crawling. I sat on my bed at one point. I'm like holding my pillow. So that was the position that I ended up staying in. The most was like basically I would have one leg bent and then one leg out. I wish I could just kind of show you like here, like this. And I had my pillow, and I would just like close my eyes and just sit like this and kind of like lean forward. I just wanted to be on my hands and knees or leaning forward holding my pillow. My pillow was my complete comfort during labor. So I'm doing that, and then they're trying to give me like water and saltines. I think I was just, my eyes were closed. I remember my daughter came in just to say, you know, that she loved me, and they, you know, and so I just don't remember too much though, because I was in my zone at that point. I was locked in, eyes closed. I'm just doing my thing. So then my husband and my sister are like, hey, do you want to go ahead and go to the hospital? I'm like, yeah, I think that's good. So they helped me out to the car. I'm just walking really slow. Like I said, eyes closed. I was not willing to open my eyes for anything, because I just knew that I needed to stay in the zone and in my birth world to get my baby out. And so I get in the car, my husband like buckles me, I'm just in the front seat with my pillow, just ignoring them, ignoring life, ignoring everything. And we drive to the hospital. The hospital I deliver at is about 45 minutes away from our house. I deliver at a hospital because I shared in another birth video that my first was a C-section. And so after you've had a C-section, some birth centers will not take you because of the C-section, and also some home birth midwives will not take you. So it's always been a dream of mine to deliver at home, but I also that wasn't an option for me, and so I just made do with what I had. I love the hospital that I deliver at. They're pretty natural minded as far as like, they're very like big proponents of mother-baby hour right after. The nurses, I've delivered 3 babies there now, and the nurses are just really great. And so anyways, we drive to the hospital. I'm in my zone. They get me. I don't even remember getting into my room, honestly, because like I said, my eyes were just closed. Like, they would just like guide me like I was a blind person, because I just would not open my eyes. I wanted to stay in the zone. So we get into the room. I'm in this position still on the bed, and then I would change to getting on my hands and knees. I turned around and faced the back of the bed and would just hold it. I just wanted to be leaning forward. And so I just remember when we got in the room, the nurse asked my husband, she was like, so she's really quiet and like in her zone right now. Do you like, is this normal? And I do remember hearing my husband talking to her. They were kind of like whispering, but loud enough that I could hear. And he was like, yes, she's really quiet until the baby's about to come out, and then she's gonna start like freaking, like she's gonna get loud at that point. And that is exactly what happened. So it was just funny that he just knows me really well and birth. So I'm quiet and everything. Well then, and I didn't want to be checked. I knew my baby was coming out, so there was like no reason to check me. But then I'm on my hands and knees and I start saying, there's pressure in my butt. And I kept enunciating the T in butt. I kept saying, there's pressure in my butt. What is that? What is that? Because like when you're in labor, you just say the weirdest stuff and you're not even thinking. Like, obviously I knew what it was. I'm having a baby, but at the same time, I really wanted them to tell me what is in my butt. And so they were like, it's your baby. Your baby's in your butt. And so at that point, they're like, do you want us to check you? And I was like, just tell me what's in my butt. And so they look and they're like, yeah, it's your baby's head. Your baby's head is coming out. And so anyways, at that point, I probably pushed maybe for like 10 minutes and she came out, and I did not tear. Nothing like that happened. And the first thing I said to my husband was, I don't want that to be the last time that I do that. That was so good. That was so fun. And he's like, what? Like, oh, okay. So anyways, the birth was just amazing. I didn't know if she was a boy or a girl. So he tells me, you know, she's a girl. And of course he's like crying. It just never gets old seeing a new life come into the world. And my husband just is the best supporter and loves it so much. And so everything was perfect. She was 8 pounds, 3 ounces. She was my smallest baby. And it was just great. And yeah, like the first thing I said was, I don't want that to be the last time I do that. And so I just want to encourage you that birth can be good and powerful and empowering. And even if you are having your baby in a hospital, it is okay. It can go really, really smooth. And depending on where you deliver, your support system, having my sister and my husband there, they are like hugely protective and supportive of me. And so even in that situation, they're like almost like my bodyguards of like, I'm in the zone and I can just completely trust and close my eyes and know that they're going to handle everything around me. They're going to make sure I'm treated well. They're going to make sure that people are quiet when they're coming in the room. They are basically just guarding me and my space, and I'm able to completely let go and forget about everything because I know that they've got that. And so I just think that is so important and just huge, especially if you're delivering in a hospital. Your support system, having a doula there, having a supportive spouse that knows what's going on in labor is just so important. And so anyways, her birth was amazing. By the time we got to the hospital, we were there about an hour and 15 minutes before she was born. And to me, that was like the sweet spot, because I didn't want to be at the hospital long. It's not the most comfortable. It's not my safe place like my house is. So I like to get to the hospital where I can get settled in, but then I'm not there any longer than I have to be. So to me, it was like perfect timing. I was there long enough to get settled in, get in my zone, get back into my zone. Because I mean, it does kind of mess you up a little bit when it's a change of scenery, when you're having to get into the car and out of the car, and there's noise and there's lights. I still stayed in my zone as much as I could by keeping my eyes closed and everything, but you do kind of come out of your zone a little bit and have to get back in. So anyways, to me, it was just like perfect. And my nurses were amazing. They were really hands off. I mean, they were there. They didn't really leave my room. They kind of just stood quietly, because they knew from the time I got there that it was not going to be long. So they stayed in the room, and called my midwife, but they were hands off and let my husband do his thing with me and my sister, and yeah, just gave me all the space that I needed. So it was wonderful. It was a really great birth. And so I just want to encourage you that your hospital birth can be beautiful too, and it can be relaxing and peaceful and all the things. And so anyways, that's the story of my 5th, and who knows if that will be the last time I ever do that or not, but it was just fun and beautiful, and I love telling her story. So anyways, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.